tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is actor Wil Wheaton and dancer Arsen Serobian. Actor, writer, performer, Wil Wheaton was born and raised in Southern California. He gave a critically acclaimed performance directed by Rob Reiner in Stand By Me. And during his teenage years was a regular on Star Trek, The Next Generation. During that show, he had private tutors and says he was second in a class of one. How'd you do that, Will?
Apparently I didn't bribe the right people. It's an important lesson to you. Take your education seriously, but know whose palms to grease.
Did you have tutors all the time?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, I got my schoolwork from a professional school, the name of which I can't even remember.
Oh, private schools?
Like a private professional school where people in my class were, you know, ballerinas and ice skaters and other actors and some musicians, but all of our work was given to our direct tutors. So I spent time, we used to joke about it, how I was at the real Starfleet Academy when I was doing Star Trek.
Oh, so that really was during the start. Were you going to be a child actor? Were you always a child actor?
I started acting when I was about 7 years old.
You did?
Yeah, I did a bunch of commercials, and then I remember this moment on I was doing a Duncan Hines brownies commercial, and the director was really like, he was a screamer. And I had been warned by my agent or my mom or somebody, listen, this director is not very good with kids, which was code for the guy's a jerk and he's impatient. And he was screaming at us a whole bunch. And they wanted me to, like, you know, take a big old television commercial bite of the Duncan Hines brownie and then sing the brownie song with brownie in my mouth. And I was having a really hard time doing it. And at the end of the day, I said to my mom, you know, this is fake. I want to do movies.
Oh, you did? So
yeah.
At 7 years old, you wanted to do movies?
I was like 7 or 8, right around then.
Was it because you were living near the studios? You were in Burbank, weren't you?
You know, it runs in my family. My mom was an actress, and my great-grandfather was an actor and a writer. Various people in my family have worked behind the scenes in different capacities throughout my entire life. So it's just something that I was around all the time.
So they knew where to go.
Yeah.
They knew where to go and what to do.
Yeah.
What was Stand By Me your big break, or Star Trek? What was your big break?
Probably Stand By Me. I mean, I had done a lot of work, you know, back when they still did movies of the week and after school specials and stuff. I did a lot of those, and I got really good notices, and it was always good work. But the first thing that I did that really was seen by a lot of people was Stand By Me. And then the success of Stand By Me, and then my kind of notoriety at that time as, you know, it's like kind of like one of those teen magazine guys, kind of helped lead into Star Trek. I turned 13 the summer that we shot Stand By Me. It's going to be 20 years ago this summer. And
then how did you react to Reiner? You were talking about another director being crummy with kids. How was he with a 13-year-old?
He was fantastic. You know, the 4 lead actors in that movie were between 11 and 15. And he did such a great job of managing our personalities. First of all, he cast actors who were very clearly connected to the characters that they played. The essences in the actors were very connected to the essences of the characters that we all played. Rob did a great job of communicating to us and always made me feel like I deserved to be there, like I had earned my spot on his set. He never condescended to us. He never made us feel like he was impatient with us. And you know, I took for granted that all directors were going to be like that. I was like, man, this is great. He takes the time to talk to us, and he, like, you know, he explains things in ways that we can understand them, and this is fantastic. And then working with hundreds of different directors on Next Generation, I discovered that is often not the case.
Because every one of those is directed by someone different, or not everyone,
well, not
but
everyone,
many of them.
Yeah, in a 26 episode season, we probably had 13 different directors, maybe 15 different directors.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So you had to react to all that. Did you ever go to those Trekkie conventions that they did?
When I was producing the show, it was like kind of an important part of promotion to go and talk about the show and meet and interact with the fans. When I left Star Trek, I didn't do that for a really long time. In the last couple of years, as I have books to promote and my website to talk about, and as I've kind of grown up and there's a lot of distance between me and Star Trek, I've gone back and done a couple of shows a year, kind of as a way of thanking the fans for all of
to go to the conferences,
just
conventions.
Like, just sort of to celebrate Star Trek and to celebrate science fiction. And it's also nice to go before an audience that is as nerdy as I am, that will appreciate some of the stuff that I write
and
about.
They remember you, and do they come up with the episodes that you were in?
Not really. When I go to do Star Trek conventions now, or when I go anywhere now, people talk to me about my website. They talk to me about my books.
But they're following you. They know you're from the Star Trek.
Yeah.
In the early '90s, you took this road trip and ended up in Florida. What was that all about?
That's actually a story that I made up and put on my website. It's not true.
It's not true?
No, I'm going to take it off. Because, okay, here's the thing. I was writing my website. I was putting my website together, all right? And I got to, like, the About Me page. And, like, I hate bios, okay? I think bios are just horrible, you know?
That's my next question.
I don't want to write them. I don't like them. They make me feel, it's like, talk about how great you are and list everything you've done. Like, I don't want to do that. So I just made up some text to fill it up. And I thought it was funny, so I left it there. And you're the third person I've talked to today for an interview who said, "So, tell me about being a hobo. What was that like?" I'm like,
"Oh, I didn't get that far,
but I made it up." It's not true.
But I thought probably that trip was to get material for for other things that you were doing.
I did actually take a number of years off from acting, and I kind of left the entertainment industry altogether. I moved to the Midwest, and I worked for a computer company, and I helped develop a bunch of video editing software, and that is a true story.
Yes.
And in that time, I did go out and spend a lot of time like looking in the mirror and deciding what I liked and what I didn't like, and that began kind of a period of reassessing my life and sort of changing what I liked and what I didn't.
So let's get to the geeks and the nerds and reassessing yourself. And do you know those kind of characters so you can write about them?
I am one of those characters.
No, that's what you keep saying.
No, I really am. Since I was a little kid, I have been, I was building crystal radios from Radio Shack, and to this day, I leave my shortwave radio on in the background all the time when I work at home. I coded and maintain my website entirely on my own. I'm a scanner nerd.
Is that stuff in your book? Dancing Barefoot?
A little bit. Dancing Barefoot is 5 short but true stories that originated on my website at wilwheaton.net. They started out in my blog. There's a story in there about going to my great aunt's house after she died to help clean the house out for the last time.
I did read that one. That's interesting. But you're doing stage readings at Acme, which is a theater on La Brea.
Yeah, since I was since the mid-'90s, I've been a member of the Acme Theater, and I went through the Acme School, and I started...
What do they do?
Well, Acme is primarily a sketch comedy theater. It is, there's a sketch comedy show. The main company show is on Saturday nights at 8. The Bravo show, which is kind of like the AAA level show, is on Sunday nights. And then there are a number of other shows. We do What's My Line, the old game show. We recreate it on stage on Wednesday nights.
Are they like radio shows in a way?
There is a program there. They do a show called the Liquid Radio Show.
Yes, I've seen that one.
Improvised 1940s musical. I mean, 1940s radio show.
Yeah, murder mysteries, shows.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you do your reading at Acme?
When I read material from my books, it is much more a performance than it is just a straight reading. A lot of the stuff that I've written about is narrative nonfiction. It's taken from things I've experienced in my life. So as I read it, just like I do when I act, I kind of emotionally recreate the characters and the voices and the setting and that sort of thing. One of my big heroes is David Sedaris.
Yes, I know.
I want to be like him so much when I grow up. So one of the reasons I'm a writer is because I just want to get on This American Life. So when I read my stuff, I just think, well, how would he do it? And that I do my best to do
you change your
it that
voice
way.
with the characters?
Oh, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But most of the time, do you walk around the stage, or do you just sit?
A little bit. I have a show that is based on, like a one-man show that's based on the material in my book Just a Geek and based on the material in Dancing Barefoot. That's not what I'm doing right now. When I eventually do that, it will be more of a stage thing, kind of like Tom Lenk's show. His show, I think it's called My Special Friends or something like that.
So is that what Dancing Barefoot refers to? Dancing between your stories?
You know, inadvertently, yeah. I didn't mean that when I wrote it. It's just this great old Patti Smith song that I really love, and U2 did a terrific cover of it. And I was working on putting these stories together, and my friend who was editing for me said, "You need a title for this book." And I said, I don't know what to title it. And he said, "Well, you better come up with something." And I was listening to that song, and I thought, okay. Now, what's cool is that it's 5 stories, and someone wrote me an email and said, "It's such a great title because it's like you are dancing across these stories, and it has this, dancing barefoot has this sense of like running through the grass or running on the beach." And he said
5 toes.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't mean that. It's just a happy accident. I wish I could take credit for it, but it was really just, it felt right, so that's what I titled it.
Do you want to continue writing and
Yes.
being in the theater?
Yeah.
What about movies?
If the right thing comes along, when the right projects happen, I'm there and I'm into it. I spent a lot of time over the last several years going on auditions where we all knew I wasn't right for it. Just sort of trying really hard, like Sisyphus, to push that damn rock up the hill.
But do you do it anyway? Does it help going to those things?
No, not really. If I really feel that I'm right for a project, then I will go and I'll work to get it. I'm a lot more successful and I'm a lot happier as a writer. In addition to my books and in addition to my blog, I write a weekly column for the Onion AV Club that's about classic video games. I am working on developing a relationship with National Public Radio for Day to Day. I am pitching.
So you are doing, you want to be behind the scenes.
I want to be a
right?
writer, yeah. I will act because I love it, and being on stage and being in front of an audience gives me such an incredible thrill. The thing that I love so much at the Acme is not even performing the material on Saturday nights. It's the process of writing it and casting it and working it out for weeks before we even put the show up.
But how do you feel with someone else saying your words then? If you write it and then someone else acting out what you've written?
When I write sketches for Acme, I write for other actors in the company.
Oh, you do?
I know that Kevin is a great reactor. I know that Chris is extraordinarily smart and is going to get this. I know that Laura House plays this really like perturbed person really, really well. So I write to the strengths of the other actors, and I write for them.
Oh, so that's great. Well, it was great having you teach us all of this stuff today.
Oh, thanks. I hope it works.
Thank you, Wil Wheaton, and thank you for watching this part of the show. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Arsen Serobian. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We have classical ballet dancer Arsen Serobian with us. He was born and raised in Armenia, and Arsen graduated from the Yerevan Conservatory of Dance. Then he went to Moscow to study. He's currently dancing with Natasha Middleton's Media City Ballet in Burbank. Did you always want to be a ballet dancer, Arsen?
No.
No!
Actually, I kind of like started with acting too. But the thing is, I decided to do the dancing first because, I was more kind of thinking like, well, I will start dancing because the life of the dancing is kind of more shorter.
That's true, yeah.
And then I will move to that, like into the acting. So yeah, I started with the dancing and pretty much I decided to do with both,
How did you get into the conservatory in Yerevan then? Don't you have to have special talents?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
definitely?
Yes. I went and auditioned there, and I was like young that time. I was like around 10 or 12 years old.
Oh,
so,
you were?
Yeah, they check your part of your muscles and everything, make sure.
Do they do it scientifically? I mean, the way they measure things?
Yeah, they measure your bones and structure and
Do
everything,
they?
make sure it's properly so you don't get injured in the future when you become a professional dancer.
But you weren't living in Yerevan at the time. You were living in Gyumri, I guess.
Yes, I was, and I moved to Yerevan in order, to...
But wasn't Gyumri hit by that terrible earthquake?
Yeah, it was in 1988, and...
Did that affect you?
Well, it does. I mean, it was horrible, and it always was kind of tragedies affect you. And I even remember the time that I couldn't even go into the high building, the fear was always there.
Yeah.
But you got to move on with life.
But then did you move to Yerevan, or were
Yeah.
you traveling back and forth? How far is Gyumri from Yerevan?
Well, it's probably like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's not too
Yeah, it's
far,
not too
but
far.
did you go back and forth?
Yeah, because my family was living still in Gyumri.
Oh, they
and
were.
Then, yeah, and we were like traveling back and forth on the weekends. I'll go see them.
Oh, I see. So you lived at the conservatory then?
Yes, I did. There was like a dorm, and
Oh.
I would live there.
And then how did you get to Moscow to study? How old
Well,
were you then?
Then I was like about 12, 13 years old because I only studied in Yerevan 1 year because those crises started, with no lights and things like that. So,
You mean crisis
yeah,
in the country?
And it was kind of cold in a building, so it was hard to.
Because there was no.
Yeah, exactly. It was
what? No gas.
no gas,
electricity.
no electricity, nothing, and it was kind of difficult.
Yeah. What happened in those ballet schools? What happened to anybody?
Well, everybody kind of spread around. Most of the people moved to, they went to United States, or went
Oh,
to
they
Germany,
did.
or went to the Russia. So I went to the Moscow and finished my studying of the ballet there.
Did you know you would get into the conservatory there in Moscow, or did you just go
No,
without?
I just went there. I'm like, well, I